I have the honor of introducing Arnold Brown. Let me just give you a little bit of background on Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown speaks 4 languages. I say 5. He speaks English, of course, and he is self-taught. He is a language teacher, professor. He speaks Spanish. He speaks Portuguese. He speaks Mandarin. And Mr. Brown also speaks plant. He speaks vertical Tower Gardens.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, let's bring it.
Thank you. I'm so humbled to be here tonight. Thank Marla and Miss Hicks, and of course Johnny and Beverly for having me tonight. It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor to be able to speak. And tonight, of course, what I'm going to be talking about as a teacher is my experience that I've had, my successful experience bringing a Tower Gardens to the school that I worked in. So I'm super excited to share this, because this is something that is truly revolutionizing our world. And I just really want you to take in the information that I'm going to share tonight, because my goal is also to inspire you who's watching to think of a school near you, or schools with an S at the end, that can use the Tower Gardens. Because what I want to just kind of preface by saying, of course, I've been introduced, and I want to thank Miss Adrienne again for introducing me. I am a certified Spanish teacher, a self-taught linguist speaking multiple languages, and I just love community. I love diversity. I've had an opportunity to travel abroad. I lived in China for 2 years, and just all of those experiences I bring to the classroom. And so with that, what I want to just kind of preference my PowerPoint tonight by saying is that now more than ever, if we really assess and just kind of observe what's going on in our school system, especially in this country, there is a need, without going into a lot of detail, there's a need to bring our community together. And all I can think of, especially with the privilege and honor to talk here tonight, is what better way than to do that with something such as the Tower Garden that can literally help our children grow, not just mentally, but also in a way that's healthy externally, and also in such a way where it can overflow into the community, whereby the community also can learn about this as well. So with that, I hope you all have a pen and paper, because I am a teacher, so I hope you take some notes tonight, as my goal is to give you steps, actual and practical steps that you can take today to begin helping your schools near you to get the Tower Gardens. I've had a lot of people ask me about this, and I just want to keep it very simple. I know there's all kinds of ways we can do this, but my goal is to keep it very simple. So I hope by the end of this call today, you are inspired, and you're not just inspired, but as we are on this call right now, you begin to take steps to begin working towards making a difference in your community. So as you can see here, what I want to go over, and we're going to go over these each in detail. I'm not going to be very long tonight, but the first thing I want to talk about is the Tower Garden project planning and initiation phase. It's just phases here that I'm going to discuss. I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means in a moment. And of course, after we got the planning and initiation phase done of actually getting the Tower Gardens, I'm going to talk about how we actually begin to use the Tower Gardens with our project. And then, of course, after using it, I'm going to talk about our experience where we were monitoring the Tower Gardens, how that went. And then finally, the success that we had, which is really, really powerful. And I think you're going to really all be inspired by what I have to share here tonight. So with that, let's talk about Tower Garden project and planning and initiation phase. So first and foremost, I want to start off with a quote. And I think we all know, or possibly have heard of Zig Ziglar. But what I want to start off by saying is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And let me just say this. I had no idea how to use the Tower Garden when we got this. I did not know how to use it at all, but the key thing is this. I knew what the Tower Gardens could do, and I was determined to get it at our school and see it work. So what that means was I was willing to learn. Even though it might have been an uncomfortable process, I was willing to learn, because what I had at the forefront of my mind is the impact that this Tower Garden project can have in our students and in our community's lives. So what is the very first thing that you can do to begin the initiation and planning phase of getting Tower Gardens at a school near you? Well, obviously in my case, I had a bit of an advantage because I was a teacher, so I had an opportunity to be around teachers all day and to kind of talk and have conversations. But what you can do if you're not a teacher is you can work your connections. So what kind of connections can you work? Well, I know all of us. I know all of us, and I'm going to keep going here, keep it simple. I know all of us know at least teachers and a few teachers and principals we can talk to. So I want you to think of some teachers and principals that you know right now. I want you to write their names down. And as you write their names down, what I want you to then think about is how you can keep this conversation very simple. Okay, teachers and principals have a lot on their plate. So what can you do to keep it simple? Well, the next thing that you can do, I'm just kind of moving my screen here so you can see what I have, is stress the value. So before talking to teachers and principals, I want you to think about the value of the Tower Garden and just the information that you heard here tonight. Some of the value that the Tower Garden has is that we have curriculums, okay, for all subjects. So that means as the Tower Gardens are being used, all subjects can use the Tower Gardens to help their kids learn more about the disciplines in which they're studying. Number two, Tower Gardens is not as laborious as regular gardens. You've seen the videos here tonight and how efficient that process can be. And then finally, the Tower Garden has impacted communities around the world. We have proof of that, and I'm going to basically speak on that in a moment, how you can know and how you can share that with teachers and principals at a school near you. So this is some of the value that the Tower Gardens have, but then how can you convey that to a teacher or principal that you're talking to in a very simple fashion without making it a very long and strenuous conversation? Well, what you can do is simply ask a yes or no question. You can simply ask and start off the conversation by saying this: I'm seeing schools locally that are teaching kids how to grow their own produce indoors. This project is less laborious than a regular garden and has curriculums for all subjects that are helping kids to improve their state test scores. We have proof of that. Does that sound like something that you'd like to know more about? What do you think the answer from a teacher or principal would be? Yes. Because when you think about the times that we're living in and the need that there is for more and for better scores and things like that in the school system, they're most likely going to want to know and be interested how they can get that started. But then they're probably going to want to see something visual that can prove that that's happening. And so what you can do after that is simply share a video of Stephen Ritz, who also is a teacher, okay, who has taken a Tower Garden project all over the world. So he has several videos on YouTube. I would encourage you to look on YouTube and just search Stephen Ritz and see some of the things that he's done and share a video with a teacher or a principal that you know so that you can begin getting them interested and really wanting to take action on this Tower Garden project. And I want to say this: don't just send it to them. Be there present with them if possible so that you can see their reaction and then continue to keep the conversation moving forward. All right. Know your roles. I'm going to try to keep going here because I only know I got so much time. Knowing your roles. All right. What I want to say again is, as a teacher, I didn't know much about the Tower Gardens, but I knew that I can help get it into the schools and facilitate the project. But I wasn't a grant writer, and I also wasn't an expert in the garden club or in the garden. So with that being said, I'm just kind of trying to make sure I'm checking time here, so I apologize, you guys. With that being said, what I want you to think about is two things. Number one, I want you to realize that you don't have to do this project by yourself, okay? You're not alone. Think about how you can delegate tasks to people in a team that can help you move this thing forward. Number two, don't just pitch this idea to a school and expect them to do it. Teachers got a lot on their plate. Principals got a lot on their plate. Be a player in the game. Make sure they know you got some skin in this. And as you're willing to make steps and take action in this process, and you're willing to work yourself, they'll be willing to come forth, and the right people will also come along, such as a grant writer and somebody who's an expert in the garden club that can actually help you get this project moving forward. Okay, so I just want to put that in your head. Make sure you have some skin in the game. All right, next up, seek grants. All right, so we got my team. I had a great team that I was working with, and then with that, we were ready to go. We had the key players who were ready to do this. So it was time to find a grant. And very simple, what I'm gonna say is that with grants, schools get emails all the time, okay? They get emails all the time about different grant opportunities. So you could talk to the principal about this. You can ask teachers. I know that was the way I was able to get some good ideas on what we can write for. And eventually we landed a grant with Neighbors Federal Credit Union that funded us, I think, close to $3,000, where we were able to get at least 3 Tower Gardens and some other equipment, which was absolutely amazing. So with the team we already had, we had a grant writer who was ready to write for that. We had an expert in the garden club. I knew how to facilitate the process, et cetera, et cetera. We were all set. And when we got the grant, we were ready to get the Tower Gardens. Boom. All right. Tower Garden project execution. With that being said, after we got the Tower Gardens, next thing is I want to just say this quote real briefly. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. All right. Again, I had no idea how to actually use the Tower Garden. So this was an opportunity for us to learn. So with that, I want to also stress to you who's listening, realize you don't have to be perfect. Be willing to make mistakes. Show people that you're human and they will be comfortable with this process as well. It's when you think you know it all, they think you know it all, that things get uncomfortable. But when you actually are comfortable with the process and learning, that is when this can be a very a powerful experience. And also you're teaching the kids to do the same thing because you're teaching them that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn. That's how you grow, literally, in every sense of the word. All right. So with the Tower Garden, first thing first, after we got it, we plant the seeds. You can see it here. We got it in a rock wool in our trays. We had our seedlings that we put in there. We had garden lettuce, bib lettuce. We had rainbow chard. We had a few different things that we can grow that came with the kit of the Tower Garden. And as you can see here, we planted them in the rock wool where we had some water in there. And about 2 weeks later, this is what we begin to notice, which is very, very powerful. You can just imagine how excited the kids were to see that every day as they had a chance to see the seedlings grow from the rock wool and as the vegetables begin to come forth. And so after that, of course, after we had that process take place, we were ready to transition the seedlings into our Tower Garden. So you can see our students here, they were engaged. We were doing some assignments there to actually get them ready to begin moving those seedlings into the Tower Garden. You can see it a little bit here. Our students are filling up the little water here, our tank here. They got the pH levels that they're testing, the mineral blend water. They're putting the rock wool inside the Tower Garden. Just a very powerful thing that we have there to get the process moving forward. But then, okay, we transition them to the Tower Gardens. And this is the very powerful thing I want to mention here. Again, this was our first time as a school ever doing this. And as we planted it, obviously we saw the seedlings growing. We were ready to put them into the Tower Gardens. But as we begin to monitor them, after 4 to 6 weeks, here's the funny thing. They weren't growing as they should. Okay, and it wasn't that the project didn't work. It wasn't that the Tower Gardens didn't work. It's just that we made some mistakes. Okay, and it wasn't until about 4 to 6 weeks later that we didn't really kind of begin to notice that. But here's the powerful thing about making mistakes that I want to mention to you all, is that you will only fail to learn if you do not learn from failing. Okay, and with that being said, what I want you to think about, even if you're in this process and you're making mistakes, realize, number one, you're not alone. Okay, we have a community of people here on this call with whom are ready to help you in this process. And I have to give a special thank you to Beverly and Johnny, who helped me during this process, because we were trying to figure out what was going on. And eventually we found a solution. So I had to reach out for help. Okay, so when you have challenges, what are you going to do? Are you going to just say it doesn't work? Or are you going to continue to move forward? We were determined to see this be successful. So we had the community there to back us up, and we were very thankful for their help. So I reached out for help. We got the help. We were determined to succeed. And with that, that's how we achieved our Tower Garden success, where after realizing this was the problem that we found out, we didn't add enough mineral blend water to the tank. So we lacked just a little bit more of what we needed to put in the Tower Garden tank. But after that, within days, literally, this is how we get the spot. It went from this here to that to this. I mean, it was just absolutely powerful to see how our Tower Gardens began to just grow from there. And as you can see there in the center, we had, I mean, that's just one Tower Garden right there in the middle with all that vegetables that we got right there in the center. I mean, that's just absolutely mind-blowing. We had all of that by the end of that one Tower Garden. So that's our success story, you guys. I think Beverly and Johnny, they all know I can talk, so I can talk all day, but I want to respect our time here. But I hope you got something from this tonight. But in closing, I just want to leave you with this thought and then just a brief review. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. We made mistakes, but we didn't stay on the ground. We were determined to be successful. And because of that, that is where the glory came, where we rise from our failure or from our mistakes, and we begin to be successful. So with that, recap, work your connections, keep it simple, think about the value, think about that yes or no question, follow it up with the Stephen Risk video. This video is recorded, so you'll be able to watch the recording. Know your roles. Don't just pitch it to a school and expect them to do it by themselves. Have skin in the game, okay? Delegate. Don't realize you don't have to do it all by yourself. Seek out grants. Schools have grants that they get access to all the time. There's money out there, I'm telling you. It's just waiting for you to find it. 5, know you're not alone. Okay, we made mistakes. We knew we weren't alone. We weren't alone, so we reached out for help. When we got the help that we needed, we began to be successful, and that's where we achieved our goal. So with that, thank you. That's everything. Gracias in español. That's what we say in Spanish. Get with the person who invited you, and let's get more schools to get to Tower Garden. And as always, let's change the world. Mwah!